Alright, testing audio, testing movement. Alright, hello everyone. This is Gundam Ace, aka John Hooper, and I'm here with my streaming of Rebellion's Secret Game, second stage. Last time we left off, all the players rejected the administrator's increasingly desperate offers to get the game moving, even if it meant killing all of them. And, kept going on until the administrator finally remembered who he truly was, and so he destroyed the collar detonation system and told the players to escape to the northwestern harbor on the island to get to a ship that the administrator is also using as their base. And so, also mentioned that they'd be setting off incendiary devices meant to burn down the island, so they all had to get out of there. And so the whole players made their own ways off to the northwestern harbor, but stopped by the organization's execution squad, but with some casualties on the way. Mitsuru died protecting Hatsune, Yui and Kurokawa. Majima died protecting Mariko in the minefield, and Daisuke got crushed by a falling tree. It was entirely his own fault, though. And then Scott's also like he was about to bite it, but then Ray saved him in the nick of time. So yeah, everyone else is still making their way over to the harbor. That's what we're gonna pick up now. And as I mentioned last time, this will likely be the final stream of the main story. So yeah. All right, here we go. In a location a bit of a distance away from there, Masaki Kurokawa ran through the mountains. Yui and Hatsune in tow. Don't stop, guys. We'll be through the mountain path soon. Both Yui and Hatsune nodded. The path slanted downhill a ways ahead. It seemed the mountain path would be it seemed they'd be through the mountains soon. Hatsune, who'd been crying after Mitsuru's passing, was no longer crying. Mitsuru's end was burned into Kurokawa's brain. That coward Mitsuru shows manliness at the very end. Kurokawa had no idea what had changed him. Hey, was he able to muster resolve for the sake of a girl? Was that what it was? He'd never given his own for another person before. Given his all for another person before. He only trusted himself, and no one helped him either. But his mother had survived 5 days, survived until the 5th day of this game, in order to see him again. Was this the same as that? When Kurokawa thought that, all of a sudden, The scenery changed. An unfamiliar sight spread before them when they cleared the thicket. Yui spoke up when she saw it. The sea? We made to the sea? Sure looks like it. It seemed the administrator had been telling the truth. But the northwestern end of the island was probably still a ways off. Kurokawa and the others had made their way north. They would need to run to the west to get along the sea in order to get there. Alright then, one last spurt. Kurokawa said then got ready to run. Please hold on. What's that? Kurokawa looked and saw some sort of strange shadow in their way. Kurokawa strained his eyes to see what it was, when light flashed from the strange shadow. The flash revealed the shadow's true identity. It was a heavy arm machine gun cannon that you'd only seen before in the movies. Hold on. The NATO bullets that held awesome destructive power popped up across the beach and approached Kurokawa. Look out! Yui screamed and pushed Kurokawa aside. Yui's body twitched when she moved to protect Kurokawa. Blood gushed and fell onto Kurokawa's torso. But Kurokawa found no pain. Instead, Yui was shot through the side. You son of a bitch! Kurokawa dove into the ocean with Yui and Hatsune. Yui moaned in his arms. Her blood mixed in with the seawater, dyeing the darkness red. Then more bullets followed. Hatsune screamed. But the storm of bullets all hit the surface of the water and flew off far into the distance. Hey, don't stick your head up. If you stay underwater, they can't hit you. But at this rate, well, eventually. Yes. Even so, they'd eventually have to get their heads out. And eventually, they get themselves a headshot and get their heads blown clean off. That bastard! Kurokawa stuck his hand out from the water and glared at the shooter. He was probably about 100 meters away. It would be difficult to hit him in this unstable position. On the other hand, their opponent relied on the sheer number of bullets and fire without without hesitation. Shit. Kurokawa dove underwater again. The hail of bullets didn't stop, and caused water to splash all around the group. Eventually, Yui's breathing started to get strange. Fragmented breaths escaped her lips. Kurokawa could tell that her body was chilling in the water. Hey, Yui, are you okay? I'm okay. Kurokawa grit his teeth at the sound of that feeble voice. Yui was growing weaker and weaker in his arms. He couldn't tell how deep her wounds were, but they probably had to treat them right away. No, perhaps it was already too late. Damn it, no other choice. I'll go. Huh? Kurokawa said that to Yui, then turned to Hatsune. Hey, Hatsune, take care of Yui for a bit. But what are you gonna do? I'm gonna get out of the water and blow that fucker's brains out. Yui spoke up. No, Kurokawa! It's too reckless! No, it ain't. If we stay like this, we'll just be waiting to get wasted. But I can't have you dying for me. I'm sure help will be here. Are you a dumbass? Of course no one's coming. That's not true. Have faith in them. Yui mustered her strength and gripped Kurokawa's arm. In contrast to her strength, her voice was feeble. Huh? Have faith? In what? In everyone else. Do you really think they're just gonna burst in here at the last second and conveniently save the day? Well, I mean, we're all heading for the same place, right? With all this loud noise, someone's bound to come. There was logic to those words. Kurokawa held Yui and then spoke. You alright with that? Yeah, so long as I can wait with you. Kurokawa's face warped at those words. Another rain of bullets flew forward. Kurokawa kept Yui in his arm as he held out there. And then, as he continued to wait for the hail of bullets to die down, he heard gunfire in the distance. It wasn't the sound of the heavy arms cannon. It was a single burst fire, 3 shots. After hearing about 15 of them, they heard his voice. Guys, are you alive? They looked in the direction of the voice to see Tsukasa running toward them. Rei was also with him. And the shooter of the heavy arms cannon was lying down. Tsukasa and Rei had waited for their chance on the side, and likely attacked him with a consecutive attack of 3 burst shots. Kurokawa smiled and spoke to Yui. Hey, we're saved, Yui! Yui smiled with a pale face. See? Help really did come. Because you and me aren't alone. That voice was already on the verge of fading. Her body had no warmth. Kurokawa was beginning to understand that she was dying. But she continued smiling and spoke to Kurokawa. You've realized it too already, haven't you, Kurokawa? That the people in this game aren't your enemies anymore. That even though we could have killed each other with just one mistake, we all got along in the end. The world may be full of enemies, but you can still trust everyone, right? Much like you trusted me. What are you saying, dumbass? Kurokawa glared at her and spoke up. This isn't the time for that kind of nonsense. Don't you have anything you want to say to me? Don't you want to hit me? Glare at me and yell at me for treating you as a slave? After a brief pause, Yui answered. Then, I do have one favor. Tell me, Kurokawa. Tell me what I am to you. I love you, but...
黒川さんは私をどう思ってくれてたのかな。
How do you feel about me? Kurokawa held her in her arms and then whispered the answer to her. In a voice only she could hear. The first and last time he would whisper those, precious words in his whole life. Then Yui, with a Yui gave a satisfied smile. Thank you, Kurokawa. And that was it. And then, when Yui met the end of her life, Kotomi Fukishi, Haruna Hosotani, and Hitomi Kasuya were running through the burning woods. Then came out onto a road, a concrete road. A road? There's a road here? Kotomi spoke up to the other two. If we head north here, we'll reach the beach. So maybe we'll reach the beach, that's what he said. Let's go, Mom! I'm sure it's not that much farther. Right! Kotomi gave that answer and ran off with Hitomi and Haruna. No longer to worry about the flames. They were concerned about shooters, but they hadn't seen any in a while. Perhaps they'd broken through the enemy's encirclement. Kotomi prayed that Shuhei and the others had also managed to escape, but just then, there was a strange sound from up ahead. Kotomi got a bad feeling and froze. That sound was the sound of a car. But none of her companions were driving a car, which meant the ones approaching were... The moment she thought that, a light shined in the darkness. Look out, guys! Kotomi shouted that, and grabbed Hitomi and Haruna's hands. A second later, the car doors opened, and soldiers filed out of it. Then lined up by the car, and fired toward Kotomi and the others. They kept firing over and over again in order to pin the group down. The group fled to the side in order to avoid that. Kotomi spoke to her companions, seized with fear. Are you okay, guys? Yeah, I'm okay, Mom. I'll be fine too, though I did take a little hit. There was blood trailing down Haruna's back. There was also red dots on Hitomi's side. I'm sorry. I acted too slow.
いいのよそんなこと。それよりどうしようか。
It's alright. Anyway, what are we going to do? Haruna said that and looked toward the car. There were about 5 enemies there. They were all heavily armed. This was likely the most dangerous situation they'd faced so far. Komi shouted.
別の道を行く。
Should we find another way?
引いても解決にはならないわ。私たちはこんな傷だし、どうせ追いつかれてしまう。
Retreating won't solve anything. We're injured, so they'll catch up to us eventually.
だから逃げるのはやめよう。
Right. So let's not run.
逃げるのはやめるって。
Sorry, yeah, so we're not going to run. Not going to run? Haruna and Hitomi exchanged a glance and then spoke.
私たちがここで奴らを迎え撃つ。
We'll go out and face them here. That was suicide, no matter how Komi looked at it. While Haruna and Hitomi continued calmly.
瞳が前に出て敵の目を引きつけるよ。
I'll go in front and draw the enemy's sight.
その間に私がクロスボウで一人ずつ仕留めるわ。
And in the meantime, I'll take them out one by one with my crossbow.
勝ち目の薄い絶望的な作戦だけどね。これしかないみたい。
Our chances of victory are slim, and it's a pretty hopeless plan. But it doesn't look like we have any other choice.
私は
What about me?
琴美は一度森の中に戻って。
You go back into the woods.
瞳たちが勝ったらお母さんにメールを送るよ。メールが来なかったらそのまま逃げて。
If we win, we'll send you an email. If you don't get an email, then keep running.
そんなの嫌だよ。私も二人と一緒に戦う。
No, I don't want that! I want to fight with you!
ダメよ逃げて。あなたを巻き込みたくないの。
No, you have to run! I don't want you to get caught up in this. Haruna looked at Kotomi's eyes and shouted that.
私たちはいいのよ。私たちの手は血で汚れてるんだから。
Don't worry about us. Our hands are already stained in blood after all.
それにさっき琴美が助けてくれなきゃ私たちは死んでいた。
And what's more...
いいのよ。
Sorry. What's more... If you didn't save us just now, we would have been dead. So it's alright.
さあ逃げてお母さん。瞳が人を殺すところお母さんには見せたくないの。
Now go, Mom. I don't want you to see me killing people. Kobe had no choice but to nod. The gunfire continued. There was no longer any time to think.
二人とも死なないでね。
Don't die, you guys, okay? Komi shouted that and ran to the side. Then she once again returned to the burning woods. She heard gunfire from behind. Sorry, she heard sounds of a fight behind her. They carved their way into her heart as she dashed between the trees. Just how long did she run like that? Komi stopped when she became tired of running. The gunshots had faded into the distance, and she couldn't hear him from here. That only served to fan Kotomi's anxiety even more.
瞳、春菜ちゃん、どうか無事でいて。
Tell me, Haruna, please be okay. Kotomi muttered and prayed for their safety from the bottom of her heart. Just then, her PDA suddenly started beeping. An email! You got an email, so they won! Kotomi smiled and looked at the open email. When she saw it, her face warped. No, it can't be. What was written there was a message from Hitomi and Haruna. Mom, Dad, be well. I love you both. Kotomi, I'm glad I met you. Take care of my brother. When she saw that, Kotomi understood everything. The two of them met their ends at the hands of the enemy. And with their injured they finished off the enemy. And then with their injured bodies, they sent one last message to Kotomi. Kotomi let out a sob she'd been stifling. She wept at the emotions they sent her. After mustering the last of her strength to send Kotomi that email, Haruna Hosotani laid on the ground as she stared up at the night sky. Now, I no longer have any regrets. When she said that, she dropped the PDA she'd borrowed from Hitomi, which clattered to the ground. She no longer had the willpower to get up. She was bleeding heavily from the gun wounds all over her body that were staining her in red blood. Hitomi was lying right next to her, even more wounded than Haruna. Haruna turned to her and spoke in a faint voice. Hitomi, I sent the email. Thank you. Hitomi's voice also lacked strength. Their lives would end soon. Though she understood that, Haruna continued. Hey, Hitomi? What is it? Do you think we've atoned for our sins a little? Do you think we've paid for all the sins we've accumulated up until now by protecting Kotomi, even if only a little? Hitomi couldn't answer her right away. After a short silence, she answered. I don't know, but I think this was for the best. Because I made my own decision, and because I was able to protect Mom at the very end, I truly do feel glad.
もちろん死ぬのは怖いけど
Though I'm scared of dying, of course. There was fear in her voice. Haruna's heart ached when she heard that. I'm sorry that you have to die with someone like me. You would have wanted to die by my brother or Kotomi's side, right?
うんそんなことないの
No, that's not true. Huh?
人は私のことが気になったんじゃ
But don't you hate me, Hitomi?
もう嫌いじゃないの
Not anymore.
人見とおばさんは少し似てるからだから一緒でいい
Because you and I are a bit alike, Auntie Haruna. So it's okay that we're going out together. Auntie, huh? I have to admit, I'm not exactly fond of being called that after all. But it was by no means a bad feeling. Not at all. Haruna gave a feeble smile, and Kotomi spoke.
ねえおばさん
Hey, Auntie Haruna? What is it?
出て生きて
Will you hold my hand? Yeah. Haruna gently reached her hand out and took Hitomi's hand into her own. The hand of the woman that should have been stained with sin and blood was warm.
おばさん眠いね
Auntie Haruna, I'm sleepy. Me too.
うん眠っていい
Can we sleep now? Yeah. Good night, Hitomi.
おばさん
Good night, Auntie Haruna. And with those words, Hitomi quietly closed her eyes. All while Haruna continued gently gripping her hand. And with her heart full of peace, Haruna closed her eyes. And then, in the midst of a woods a short distance away, Shuhei Fujita and Yuna Todo walked close together.
ユーナ、今向こうから銃声聞こえなかったか？
Yuna, did you hear gunfire from over there just now?
それもかなりたくさんの音が
Yeah, and a lot of it too. The two of them were covered in wounds. They encountered multiple enemies on their way here. They warded them all off and managed to make it this far. But there were probably still enemies out there. The moment they thought that, they heard sobs coming through deeper in the woods.
何この声
What's this voice?
琴美の声だ。
It's Kotomi's voice! Shuhei mustered strength in his aching body and ran. Yuna wasn't too far behind him. They parted their ways to the burning trees, and when they made it deeper into the woods, they found her.
琴美、
しゅうちゃん
Kotomi darted over to him. Her eyes were blurry with tears.
琴美、春菜と瞳はどうしたの？
Kotomi! What happened to Haruna and Hitomi? Kotomi quietly shook her head. Shuhei understood everything when he saw that. The two of them died. That sound we heard was the sound of Haruna and Hitomi fighting. The moment he realized that, Shuhei felt as though he would fall to his knees.
ちくしょう。どうして
Damn it! Why?
せっかくやっと会えたのに。
After we were finally together again, after all this time,
瞳も少しずつ人生を取り戻そうとしていたのに。
and just when Hitomi was finally getting her life back, that voice, poured out from the depths of his throat. Kotomi then looked at Shuhei
しゅうちゃん、
and embraced Shuhei.
ごめんね、しゅうちゃん。私、あの二人を助けられなかった。
I'm sorry, Shu. I couldn't save them.
二人とも私を守るために敵と戦って
They fought the enemies to protect me.
最後にお兄ちゃんによろしくって大好きだったよ。
And the last things they told me were take care of my brother, and I love you. Those words, reached Shuhei's heart, threatening to drive him to the, to his knees once again. He had to protect the life that his sister and daughter had protected. With that thought, Shuhei mustered his courage and spoke.
行こう。琴美、ユナ、
Kotomi, Yuna, let's go.
生き延びるんだ。あの二人の分まで。
We have to survive for the both of them as well. Yeah. Kotomi quietly nodded at Shuhei's words. Yuna gently pushed their shoulders. After that, they made their way out of the burning forest, and when they reached the road again, they buried Hitomi and Haruna's bodies, and took the car that the execution squad had brought in. Shuhei spoke to Yuna as he sat in the passenger seat.
ユナ、お前車運転できたんだろ。
Yuna, you can drive a car?
こう見えてもちゃんと免許もあるわよ。ペーパーだけど。
Hey, I may not look like it, but I do have a license. On paper, that is. Yuna answered casually. Kotomi spoke up in a tired voice.
ユナさんって本当に何でもできちゃうんですね。
You really can do anything, can't you, Yuna?
私もユナさんみたいになりたかったです。こんな弱い自分じゃなくて。
I want to be just like you. Not the weak person I am.
待って琴美、私もあんたと同じよ。ただ自分の弱さを必死で埋め合わせようとしてきただけよ。
Wait, Kotomi. We're the same. All I do is just do everything in my power to hide my own weakness. That's all. Huh?
私はね、ことみ。今まで何度も間違ってきたの。
You see, Kotomi, I've made a bunch of mistakes up until now.
前回のゲームの中でも何度も間違えて、その果てにアキラをこの手で殺してしまって。
Even in the last game, I kept making mistake after mistake, and at the end, I killed Akira with my own hands.
それからは自分がやってることが正しいかどうかも時々よくわからなくなったわ。
After that, sometimes I couldn't tell if I was doing the right thing or not.
それが人を殺すということ。人を殺すと人としての大切な何かが確実に失われるの。
That's what it means to kill someone. When you kill another person, you use something important. Use something important to you as a person, as a human. Yuna stopped there, and then continued.
ことに周辺も今日人としての大切なものを失ったわ。かつての私と同じように。
Kotomi. Shuhei also lost something important to him as a person today, much like me. Kotomi gasped. She probably understood what Yuna was getting at. She understood what Shuhei and Yuna had done on their way to her. Though they'd done it to survive, Shuhei had used the weapon he'd gotten.
周平はいいやつよ。だけども元の周平には戻れない。
Shuhei's a good guy, but you'll never go back to the old Shuhei now.
これからは正しいことをしているつもりでも悩んだり間違ったりすることがたくさんあると思う。
From this point onward, even if he tries to do the right thing, I'm sure he'll hesitate and make a lot of mistakes, all the same.
だけどことみ、あんたは誰も殺してない。大切なものを失っていない。
But you haven't killed anyone, Kotomi. You haven't lost that important thing that makes you, that makes you, sorry, bleh. But you haven't killed anyone, Kotomi. You haven't lost that special, that important thing.
だからきっとあんたがそばにいれば周平は大丈夫。ずっと一緒にいてあげて。
So I'm sure as long as you're with him, Shuhei will be fine. So stay with him. Always. Right! Kotomi answered with all her might. Just then, they saw a human figure on their way on the road up ahead.
待てユナ、止めてくれ。
Wait, Yuna, stop! Yuna obeyed and hit the brakes. And what they saw was Mariko.
マリコさん。
Shuhei and the others got out of the car and ran to her. Mariko's eyes were red as though she'd been crying.
一人、真島さんはどうしたの？
You're by yourself? What happened to Majima?
真島君。
The group's faces warped when they heard that. Majima had also died, most likely protecting Mariko. As the group, three of them stayed silent, but then Yuna spoke up.
行きましょう、みんな。
Let's go, guys. They nodded and got back in the car again. Eventually, they reached the ocean. There were several people, they could see several people staggering across the beach.
スカサたちだ。
It's Gus and the others! The group got out of the car and ran to them. Over there was Skasa, Rei, Kurokawa, and Hatsune.
ユナ。
先輩たち、よくご無事で。
You're all alive!
お前たちも無事でよかった。
I'm glad you guys are alive as well.
でも他のみんなは
But what about the others? Kurokawa answered in a stifled voice.
ミツルとユイは死んだ。
Mitsuru and Yui are dead.
勝ったのは狐たちだけです。
We're the only ones left. Shuhei couldn't say anything. Kurokawa's expression, the wounds all over their bodies, told the story of what they'd been through up to this point. They lost so many lives in just these few hours. But even so, they had survived. The survivors were Shuhei, Kotomi, Yuna, Mariko, Kurokawa, Hatsune, Tsukasa and Rei. The 8 of them got in the car and then took off again. The car managed to drive even across the sand. Yuna carefully drove the car so she didn't lose control.
みんなもうすぐよ。もうすぐ船着き場に着くから。
It's not too far, guys. We'll be at the harbor soon. And just then, there was a gunshot, and Yuna's chest burst.
ユナ
The group's eyes widened in surprise. Yuna's face warped with pain. She shouted,
しまったわ。ここに来てまだ狙撃兵が。
"Shit! There's still snipers out here!" They looked to find that there was a bullet hole in the windshield. The gunshots continued, and there was some sort of explosion out under the car. Right after that, the car tilted. The car lost control and danced on the sand. Sensing danger, Shuhei shouted to everyone,
横転するぞ。みんなショックに備えろ。
"We're gonna crash! Guys, brace for impact!" Right when he shouted that, the car flipped over, and impact ran through Shuhei and the others' bodies. Sorry, the car fell on its side.
みんな無事か。
Guys, are you alright?
なんとか。
Somehow.
それより敵が来るわよ。
More importantly, the enemy's coming!
おめえら車から出ろ。
Get out of the car, guys! Everyone did as Kurokawa said and got out of the fallen car. Crawled out of the fallen car. They couldn't see any enemies around them. With the exception of Yuna, all of them crawled out from the car. Yuna was limp in the driver's seat.
ユナ生きてるか。
Yuna, are you alive? There was no response. Even so, Shuhei went to try help save Yuna. When a gunshot rang out and burst by Shuhei's side. Shuhei trembled, but then Tsukasa grabbed his arm and shouted,
先輩、車の陰に隠れてください。
"Fujita, hide in the shadow of the car!"
でもユナが
But Yuna's...
運転席も敵からは死角になってます。だから早くこっちへ。
The driver's seat is a blind spot for the enemies as well, so hurry up! After a moment's hesitation, Shuhei resolved himself. He then swiftly hid on the opposite side of the car that shielded him from the bullets. Everyone took out their respective guns and looked in the, and looked toward the direction they thought the enemy was in. But they couldn't see the enemy anywhere.
どこに敵がいるですか？
Where's the enemy?
どうやら相当遠くにいるみたいですね。
It seems they're a long ways off. Yuna squinted in the darkness. At the edge of her, a gunshot echoed from the edge of her vision. The group waited for the gunfire to stop, and then returned fire. But they didn't sense the taking down of an enemy, and they received rifle fire in return. It was accurate, and kept the group pinned down behind the car. The gunfire continued, and sparks blew up on the backside of the car. But those bullets clearly didn't seem to be aiming for Shuhei and the others.
なんだどこを撃ってやがんだ
What the hell? Where are they shooting? Scalza gasped when Kurokawa said that.
まずいガソリンタンクを狙ってるんだ
Oh no! They're aiming for the gasoline tank! The moment Shuhei heard that, he felt a shock run down his spine. If they punctured the gasoline tank, the car would blow up with Yuna in the driver's seat. Even if they abandoned Yuna and ran, there was only open beach around them. There was no way they'd be able to run. There's no way they'd be able to escape with a rifle targeting them.
くそみんな撃て
Damn it! Guys, shoot! The group fired blindly. But there's too much distance between them and their attacker. Without knowing where the enemy was, there was no way they could hit him. Before long, Scalza and Kurokawa ran out of bullets. Shuhei also only had 3 bullets left. And Mariko, Hatsune, and Kotomi didn't have guns. A sniper round echoed and pierced a hole next to the gasoline tank. It seemed their aim was getting more and more accurate. It was only a matter of time until they punctured the gasoline tank. Shuhei leaned forward, aimed toward the enemy, and fired. Relying on the gunshots and muzzle flash from the rifle, he shot at the enemy. Immediately afterwards, a bullet fired straight towards Shuhei. It was a battle between rifle and pistol. But no matter how carefully Shuhei aimed, he was at an overwhelming disadvantage. Hold on a second. Alright, back. After the echo of the umpteenth gunshot, Shuhei's knee split open. Shuhei fell forward, having been shot right through his knee. He heard Komi's voice behind him. She darted out from the shadow of the car. A premonition of death ran through Shuhei's mind. It was at that moment they finally made out the enemy's form in the darkness. Then, right as he pointed his gun at him, a gunshot echoed across the beach. Shuhei instinctively shut his eyes, fearing his death. But there was no pain. The moment of his death didn't arrive. He timidly opened his eyes, betting on the small chance something had happened. And saw her. Shuhei gasped in amazement. The girl on the verge of death had crawled out from the driver's seat and shot the sniper with her own gun. Shuhei heard the faint sound of the enemy collapsing behind him. Yuna had a pained look on her face, but even so, she spoke up, in a bluffing voice. Sheesh. You really do need all the help in the world, huh? The group dragged Yuna out from the driver's seat. But immense blood was gushing from her chest. Everyone could tell from her glance that it was too late for her. The group laid Yuna on the beach and surrounded her. Are you alright, Yuna? We'll take care of that wound right now. He's right, Yuna. I'm sure I'll be able to save you. Yuna knew better than anyone else there that she was just saying that to make her feel better. She addressed everyone in a fading voice. It's okay. That's enough. I just did what I had to. Ray spoke up in a tear-choked voice. What are you talking about? It doesn't make it okay for you to die! I said it's fine. After all, I'm sure this was my role. Your role? You're saying your role was to die here? Are you really alright with that? Well, yeah. Because now I can finally see Akira again. And besides, even if I could do everything all over again, I'd probably take the exact same actions in this game. Even if the rules changed, even if the path we took to reach here changed, my will won't change. I came here to give the life Akira gave me to someone else. Even if I die as a result of that, I'll accept that. Yuna said that and reached into her pocket. She then took something out and gave it to Shuhei.
周平、あんたにこれを託すよ。
Hey, Shuhei, I'm entrusting this to you.
これは
This is... It was a memento from Akira that Yuna had shown him a while back. A silver bulb that didn't have the power to kill anyone.
周平、これは殺さない意志の表れじゃないよ。
Shuhei, this isn't a symbol of my will not to kill anyone.
理不尽に抗い、自分の意志を貫く意志のこもっただが
It's a bullet full of the will to rebel against injustice and to stick to your beliefs.
私はそれを貫けて満足だよ。
I'm satisfied that I could stick to my own.
だから周平、あんたの理不尽に屈さないで。バカバカしい生き方でもそれを貫いて。
So Shuhei, never give in to injustice. Stick to that, even if it means living a foolish lifestyle.
ああ
Yeah, I will! Shuhei took it and gripped Yuna's hand. Yuna smiled and grabbed his hand back. Her hand slowly but surely grew cooler. But Shuhei continued gripping her hand so as not to forget her will and beliefs. After that, Shuhei and the others buried Yuna. And they took off again. With Shuhei having been shot through the knee, Komi helped him walk. Everyone was all tattered to pieces. Their hearts were full of sorrow and loss. But they didn't stop walking and headed for the the island's northwestern side, one step after another. And eventually, when the sun was beginning to rise, the 7 survivors finally reached the harbor. A single middle-class cruiser was beached there. Not beached, was anchored there. Shuhei and the others gripped their weapons and stepped into the boat.
これは
This is... But everyone gasped when they got inside the boat. Men who looked like they were with the administrator's execution squad were lying there.
何があったんだろう。
What happened here?
わかりませんね。銃撃戦の痕跡がありますが。
I don't know. However, there are signs of a gunfight. There were indeed several bullets littering the ship.
誰と誰が撃ち合ったんだ
But who fought each other? Who killed those men with the organization? Right when they thought that, they heard a voice inside the ship.
ようやく来たか
You're finally here, huh? It was the voice of the administrator man. Shuhei furrowed his eyebrows and walked to the direction of the voice. With everyone following him, he entered the the room at the end of the hall. And there, they saw an unfamiliar man lying. The moment the man saw Shuhei and the others, he gave a cynical smile.
なんだお前らボロボロじゃねえか。俺がそこの連中を倒してなかったらどうするつもりだったんだ。
Do you know? You're all battered. What were you planning on doing if I hadn't already killed those guys?
何？じゃああそこに倒れていた男たちはあんたがやったのか？
What? Then you killed those men?
なんとかなるかと思ってたんだが鈍っちまってたらしいな。
Yeah. I thought I'd be able to manage, but it seems my skills have gotten dull.
まさか私たちのために。
Did you do that for us?
そういうことになるか。
Well, more or less.
それより早く船を出せ。この船はオートパイロットだ。そこのレバーを前に倒せばそれだけで船は出る。
More importantly, get the ship moving. This boat's on autopilot. Just push that lever down, and the boat will go on its own.
ちょっと待ってください。どうしてそこまでするんですか？
Please wait! Why would you go this far for us?
そうですよ。あなたは運営側の人間でしょ。僕らを助ける義理はないはずです。
She's right. You're of the administrators, right? You have no obligation to save us.
別にお前らのためじゃねえよ。これはあくまで俺の個人的な理由だ。
It wasn't for you or anything. In the end, it was for my own personal reasons.
個人的な理由？
Your own personal reasons? The man nodded. He then quietly began to speak.
ようやく全部思い出したんだ。
I finally remembered everything.
俺もお前たちと同じ立場だったこと。俺にはお前らを助ける理由があったんだってこと。
I remembered that I was in the same position as you, and that I had a reason to save you. Huh?
俺がずっと昔、もう10年以上も前に初めてこのゲームに参加させられた。
A long time ago, over 10 years ago, I was forced to play my first game.
俺のクリア条件は自分以外の全プレイヤーの殺害。その条件を見たときは死ぬほど悩んだ。
My clear condition was murder of all players except for yourself. The moment I saw that, I was worried to death.
だけど俺には生き残らなければならない理由があった。家には家族が待っていたからな。
No, wait, sorry. The last time, when I saw that condition, I hesitated to know to my wit's end. But I had a reason that meant I had to survive. Because I had a family waiting at home for me.
病弱な女房とまだ小さな息子と娘とその顔を思い浮かべると死ぬわけにはいかないと思った。
I had a sick wife and a young son and daughter. When I pictured their faces, I knew I couldn't die.
その時さ、理由があれば躊躇なく人を殺せる自分の業に気づいたのは。
It was at that time that I realized it was in my nature to kill without hesitation so long as I had a reason.
俺には人殺しの血が流れてるんだとそう悟ったよ。
I realized that I had the blood of a murderer running through my veins. A memory flashed by Shuhei's mind when he heard those words. It was a distant memory, a memory of someone patting his head. The man who had been patting his head back then said the same thing. I pray that the two of you don't have the blood of a murderer flowing through your veins. Shuhei was taken aback, but the man continued.
そうして俺はゲームから生還した。
And thus, I survived the game.
俺は考えに考えた末、ゲームのことをマスコミに垂れ込むことにした。
After a lot of thinking, I decided to leak the game to the media.
残念ながらマスコミにも運営の息がかかってたんで、結局俺一人が勝手に大量殺人を起こしたってことにさせられちまったかな。
Fortunately, the administrators already had the media in their pockets, and so they set it up so that I was responsible for many murders in the end.
そして捕まり終身刑で服役中、運営組織の人間がやってきて俺に言ったんだ。
And I was arrested and put on death row. Then a man from the organization came and said this to me.
このまま牢の中で死ぬか、我々の元で働くか、我々に従うならいつか家族に会わせてやると。
He said, "Will you choose to die in prison like this, or work for us? If you obey us, we'll let you meet your family again someday."
俺は後者を選んだ。
I chose the latter. The door to Shuhei's memories opened as the man spoke. He remembered who the hand that patted his head was. Now that he thought about it, that was the day before that man had vanished, wasn't it? As Shuhei thought that, the man continued.
それからはどっぷりこの世界に入り浸りだ。
And after that, I became stained in this world.
何度も何度もゲームに参加させられ、その中で俺の精神と肉体は際限なく痛めつけられていった。
I was forced to play game after game. In the process, my body and mind were whittled down to the very marrow.
そこで運営は治療と称し、俺に医学的な処置を施した。だがそのせいで俺の精神は完全に壊れちまった。
Hold on one second. And then I received some sort of medical treatment that the administrators only called treatment itself. But as a result, my mind completely broke.
過去の記憶は曖昧になり、本来の自分の人格は失せて、その後もゲームマスターとして仕事を続けさせられた。
My memories of the past grew vague. I lost my original personality, and after that, they made me work as a game master.
その頃には他人の殺し合いを見るのは苦じゃなくなっていたし、ゲームを盛り上げることにも喜びを感じていた。
It was around that time I stopped feeling pain at watching others kill one another, and I was glad to make the game more exciting.
そんな日々の中でも眠ると時々妙な夢を見たよ。
And even amongst those days, I sometimes would have a strange dream when I slept.
自分の記憶とは思えない記憶。家族と最後に過ごした日の記憶。
A memory that didn't seem like my own. A memory of the last day I spent with my family.
このゲームが始まってからはさらに頻繁に夢を見るようになった。
Ever since this game began, I began having that dream with even more frequency.
周平と春菜を見るたびに
Every time I saw Shuhei and Haruna. Once he heard that, Shuhei was sure of it. who the man in front of him was.
あんたまさか
No way. You're
まさか俺と春菜の
me and Harvna's.
残念ながら春菜は救えなかったみたいだけどな。
No, unfortunately. It seems Harvna couldn't be saved. The man said that bitterly. Those words and that expression answered Shuhei's question.
なあ周平、ここでお前らを待っている間、俺はずっと考えていたよ。
Hey, Shuhei. While I was here waiting for you guys to arrive, I kept thinking about something.
どうすればこんな結末を避けられたのか。別の道はなかったのか。
If there was any way that this result could have been avoided, if there was no other way.
こんなゲームに参加することなく、女房と子供らといつまでも幸せに。
A way where I never participate in this game and could always be happy with my wife and children.
まあ無理な話だけどな。全てはもう終わっちまった話だ。
Well, it's all a pipe dream anyway. It's all over now after all.
俺たちの運命なんて吹けば飛ぶようなちっぽけなものだ。より大きな力を持つ奴らに好きなようにもてあそばれる。
Our destinies are so fragile they can be blown by the merest gust of wind. We can be toyed with by those who hold more power than us.
それでもお前はどうする？
But even so, what will you do?
お前たちはこれから何をしたいんだ？
What do you all want to do from now on? They already had the answer to that question. The will that Shuhei inherited from her came from his mouth.
決まってる。
That's obvious.
俺たちがこれからやるべきことは
What we have to do from now on is
理不尽と戦うこと、理不尽にさらされた者を救うことだ。
fight against injustice and save those who are oppressed by injustice. That was what they had learned from Yuna. And it was the final choice that this man had chosen. The man smiled faintly when he heard that.
それでいい。
That's good.
だったら生きろ。お前たち決して俺のようにはなるな。
Then live on, all of you. You mustn't end up like me.
この腐った世界でその意志を貫いてみせろ。
Stick to those beliefs in this rotten world. The man muttered that, then shut his eyes. Silence hung over the entire boat, the only echoes being that of the small waves outside.
した言葉を胸に抱いてどんなに辛くても立ち止まらずに信念を貫くためにあなたと共に踏み出そうこの日のため歩いてきた背負った罪すべて力へと変える君から教えられた誰かを守ること傷を胸に抱き立ち上がる今こそ怒りを解き放てあなたの笑顔を忘れないよこぼした涙は幾千僕あなたがくれた命を抱きしめて弱き者を救い出すためさあ戦いに踏み出そう今ではあるの遠い過去でもね忘れないよ僕らがあの日見た光景を僕らが交わした約束
After that, Shuhei and the others set off on the boat and were adrift on the high seas. They called the police and Coast Guard over the boat's phone, but no help came. It seemed they were already in the administration's pocket. Even if they made it back to the mainland, it was clear they'd be executed. And then, just as they talked about possibly fleeing to another country, help arrived. They were ACE, an illegal group opposed to the organization. They sent out a boat to save them on the sea. It seems ACE also had their eyes on that game that had been played over 10 days. With the help of Ace, Shuhei and the others survived and made it overseas. And then they were thrown into their new lives as fugitives. Before they knew it, 10 years had passed in the blink of an eye. Warm sunlight, uncharacteristic of early winter, shone down. Shuhei Fujita squinted in that sunlight and observed around him. He was in a small park in a town in the corner of Eastern Europe. The organization probably didn't have nearly as much power this far from Japan. Even so, Shuhei and the others frequently changed their addresses for their own safety under Ace's instructions. Shuhei had never been to this town before. He wondered how many cities he'd been to since leaving Japan, More than they could count, that was for sure. Shuhei glanced at the clock in the center of the park. The hands were pointing to 2 p.m.
遅いなあの人。
She sure is late. Oh. The moment he said that, his phone rang with perfect timing. Very few should have known his number, though. Shuhei took his phone out of his suit's breast pocket and answered in the local language for now.
アロ？
The answer came in the form of familiar Japanese.
もしもししゅうちゃん
Hello, Shu?
ああ、琴美か。どうしたんだ？
Oh, it's you, Komi. What's up?
なかなか来ないから心配になって何かあったの
You're late, so I was getting worried. Did something happen?
いや、迎えがまだ来てないだけさ。彼女と合流したら、俺もそっちに向かうよ。
No, she just isn't here yet, that's all. Once I meet up with her, I'll be heading over to you guys.
さあこっちはもうみんな集まってるから気をつけてきてね
I see. Everyone else is already here, so be careful, alright? Komi ended the call quickly. It had been 2 weeks since they'd last seen each other. In that time, Shuhei had been busy with his own work and had been unable to even contact Kotomi. A relieved look appeared on his face at the happiness of having heard her voice for the first time in a while.
何にやけてんの気持ち悪いな
What are you smirking about? That's creepy. You heard an exasperated voice from his side. A woman sat down on the bench next to him when he...
君の迎えが遅いから、琴美が心配して電話をかけてきたんだよ。
Komi called because she was worried because you were taking your time.
時間に厳しい君らしくないじゃないか。な、マリコさん。
It's not like you, with how strict you usually are about time. Wouldn't you agree, Mariko? She smiled wryly at those words. Mariko Ueno spoke in a cheerful voice, completely different than how she'd been when they'd first met.
まあ勘弁してよついさっき上から直接私のところに連絡が入ってね
Come on, cut me some slack. I just received contact from the higher ups just a while ago.
どうやら例の役は私ってことで OK が出たみたいね
Looks like they're giving me the green light to go ahead for that position, for that role.
ああ、
Yeah.
そんな顔しないでよ自分で言うのもなんだけど敵役だと思うわ
Don't make that face. I know it's me saying this, but I think I'm perfect for the job.
ほら私って一見優しげなお姉さん風じゃないだからあなたとかよりは若い子たちの信用も得やすいと思うし
Come on. I come across come on. Just with a single glance, I come across as the kind older sister type, don't I? So I think it'll be easier for me to gain young kids' trust in yourself.
それはそうかもしれないが。
Maybe so, but...
もう心配しないでってば
Come on, don't worry.
それよりそっちの報告を聞きたいわね例の件の詳細については決定した
More importantly, I want to hear about your report. Have the details of that matter been decided?
ああ、2週間もかかったけどな。もろもろの件について上とも話がついた。
Yeah, though it took 2 weeks to get it done. I spoke to the higher ups about it as well.
詳しくはみんなの前で話すよ。あいつらのところに案内してくれ。
I'll tell you the details with everyone else. I'll take you to them.
え
Got it. Shuhei and Mariko stood from the bench. And while keeping a close eye on their surroundings, they walked. All while Shuhei dragged, his right leg, which had stopped moving ever since he got shot 10 years ago. Mariko looked up to the sky and muttered,
いい天気。日本も国も空も同じね。
Such nice weather. Japan and this country have the same sky, huh?
だけどこの空の下のどこかで今も望まない殺し合いをさせられている人がいるんだ。
But there are people under the sky who are being forced against their will to kill each other,
あの時の俺たちの
just like us back then. Yes. Around Mariko's neck was a pendant that had been entrusted to her from the one she loved. Unlike the collar which had symboled impending death that had been on her back then, she wore this as a symbol of life. And the words name carved into there was the name of the sister of the man who had once owned this.
今回の作戦では彼のお姉さんの名前をカバーネームに使わせてもらう。
I'll be using his older sister's name as my cover name for this upcoming operation.
いいな。きっと真島も喜んでくれるはずだ。
That's good. I'm sure Majima would have been pleased too.
そうよね。
You're right. Mariko said that and smiled gently. On that day, she had lost the man she loved most. Of course, it wasn't just her. Shuhei had also lost friends and family that day. No, sorry, including Shuhei. They lost their friends and families that day. But that pain had brought them all the way here. Mariko sped up as if that will were guiding her onwards.
それじゃあ急ぎましょうか。みんなあなたを待ってるわ。
Alright then, shall we? Everyone's waiting for you.
あ
Yeah. Shuhei answered and followed her. This was Shuhei's first time arriving here. It was a basement floor in a run-down building. It was a meeting place for members of ACE. And when they opened the door, they saw their comrades.
しゅうちゃん。
Komi spoke up when she saw Shuhei. Everyone else spoke up as well.
お久しぶりですね、先輩。
Long time no see, Fujita.
つうか遅えぞおめえら。待ちくたびれちまったじゃないか。
Hey, you guys are late. We were sick and tired of waiting, you know that?
全くです。黒川との組手にも飽き飽きしてたところです。
Indeed. I was tired of having to deal with Kurokawa. Scott and the others shrugged in exasperation. Then a gentle voice spoke up.
みんなそう言わないで。せっかく無事に全員揃ったのに。
Don't say that, guys. We're all finally here together, safe and sound after all. The woman who said that had a completely different face and way of talking than she used to. Mariko spoke to the woman who had plastic surgery done to her face.
初音の言う通りよ。まずは全員揃ってこの日を迎えられたことを感謝すべきだわ。
Hatsune's right. First of all, we should be grateful that we all gathered here, that we all made it here on this day.
ああ俺たちはあの地獄のようなゲームをその後の日々も生き延びた。
Yeah. We survived that hellish game in the days after that.
そしてあれから10年が経ちようやく 準備が整ったんだ。
It's been 10 years since then, but we've finally gotten ready. Everyone's face stiffened at those words. Resolve colored each and every one of their faces. With Ace's help, Shuhei Nielsen relocated overseas 10 years ago. Then survived together, avoiding the organization's assassination attempts. Eventually, they formed bonds much like that of a family. But the 7 of them who had survived that game had always shared a single will, a single ideal. To someday, bring peace to the souls of their dead comrades. Hold on a second. Alright, back. That will changed Ace, which had up until that point been a powerless, unarmed organization. They were determined to fight the administration organization, and so they made and transformed them into a combat group.
長かったですね、ここまで。住み慣れた国を追われて、遠い異国で至福する日々。
It's been a long time coming here, hasn't it? Having been chased from the country we'd all grown up in, having to scour to foreign nations.
でもあっという間だったよ。計画の準備と訓練であれこれ思い悩んでる暇もなかったし。
But it all passed by in the blink of an eye. With all the planning and training we received, there was no time to worry about all of that.
その目的があったから、心が折れずにここまで走ってこられた。
He's right. It's because we had that objective that we ran all the way here without ever yielding.
ああ、俺らはこの時のために血の滲むような日々を生きてきたんだ。
Yeah, we lived through those days of blood, sweat, and tears, all for now. The group talking there had had their bodies and minds trained far beyond what they had been like back then. The 7 who had turned Ace into a combat group had also tempered themselves and obtained the power to fight. For those who they'd killed on that day, and for those who hadn't. Desiring power for them to stick true to their beliefs, they obtained it. And here they were, and so here and now they were, gathered together to challenge the administration organization, crush them once and for all.
俺たちの提案した計画についても上層部から認可が下りた。
we've received permission. No, so we received approval from the higher ups about our proposed plan.
みんなもう一度確認するぞ。それぞれの役目を。
Let's go over our roles one more time. Hold on a second. From this point onward, Shuhei and the others would be the direct subordinates of Ace's two leaders and fulfill their own duties. Shuhei went over the plan that they spoken of over and over again.
まず初音は客として運営側に潜り込む。そして必要とあれば他の客たちの意見を誘導するんだ。
First of all, Hasune will infiltrate the organization, the administrator's side, as a customer, and if it's necessary, she will guide the other customers' opinions.
了解よ。その役演じきってみせるわ。
Roger that. I'll play that part perfectly.
黒川とレイと司は高羽の部隊に同行。運営組織の指導者の居場所が判明したらこれを襲撃する。
Kurokawa, Rei, and Tsukasa will act along with the hardliner group. If they discover the location of the administrative organization's boss, attack it.
ええ、お任せください。
Yes, you can count on me.
ようやくアキラたちの仇を討てる時が来ましたね。
The time has finally come to avenge Akira and the others.
運営の連中にも俺たちが見た地獄を見せてやるよ。
We'll show those administrative bastards the hell they put us through.
頼むぞ。それとマリコさんは
I'm counting on you. As for Mariko, Shuhei hesitated there. He was reluctant to say what came after that. Because it meant ordering her to go back into that hellish field once again.
どうしたの？みんなで話し合って決めたことでしょ？
What's the problem? We all decided this together, didn't we?
私は名前を変えて次回のゲームにプレイヤーとして潜り込む。
I'll change my name and infiltrate the next game as a player.
すまない。できることなら俺がその役目を引き受けたいんだが。
I'm sorry. If I could, I wish I could have taken on that role, but the game had changed since then. Hold on a second. As their own game had it, sorry, one second. As their own game had revealed, had exposed the defects of leaving the game running too long, the second stage had been abolished. The second stage system had been abolished. But in exchange, the players were provided with far stronger weapons than before, and the field had changed into a giant facility riddled with traps. Even so, Mariko showed no fear.
いや、さっきも言ったけど、これはやっぱり私が敵役だって。
Nope. I already said this before, but I'm perfect for that job.
それに、あなたと琴美の役目だって十二分に危険なんだから。
Besides, You and Kotomi's role is already dangerous enough.
私のことは心配しないで。あなたは自分の役目を果たしなさい。
Don't worry about me and just fulfill your own role. Shuhei's heart tightened at those words. Just as she said, all 7 of them would be in their own places and face their own dangers. But that was exactly why they need someone to tie them all together.
その通りだな、マリコさん。
You're right, Mariko.
俺と琴美は各班の中継者として。
One sec. Alright, Kotomi and I will be taking command from the front lines, acting as the intermediary between all our groups. There was an important role to ensure that that things stayed constantly calm, and adapting to the ever-changing circumstances in this situation. Hold on a second. Instead of being holed up in some command room, they will be frontline commanders issuing orders to all units while observing them. Also issuing orders to all places that became battlegrounds. If this mission failed, it was likely that all of them would die. But it was all he could do since he couldn't move his legs. And so that's why Shuhei had chosen this for himself. And Kotomi also wished to be by Shuhei's side. She said, "If we die, we'll die together." Even so, they didn't want to lose any more people. Even if a harsh battle was about to begin after this.
死ぬなよ、みんな。
Don't die, guys. Everyone nodded firmly at those words. And they pulled that bullet out from their pocket. It was the silver bullet imbued with her will. Shuhei had taken it from Yuna, then carved it down and given a piece of it to everyone. As they looked at it, a single question ran through their minds. What ran through his mind? Hey, no, their minds. Hey, Yuna, is this all right? I'm about to send our dear friends out into a death zone. Is this the right choice? I haven't been blinded by revenge, have I? Once he thought that, Kotomi calmly answered the question that had risen to his mind.
大丈夫だよ、シュウちゃん。
It's alright, Shu.
私はみんなをずっと見てきた。みんなが間違った道に進まないように見続けてきた。
I've been watching everyone all these years, keeping an eye on them so they never strayed off to the wrong path.
そしてこれはきっと間違ってない。いつかは誰かがやらなきゃならないことなんだよ。
And I'm sure this isn't wrong. It's something someone would have had to do one day, eventually.
あのゲームで命を落とした全てのプレイヤーのために。
For all the players who died in that game. Those words dispelled the last bit of doubt in Shuhei's heart. Shuhei and the others all faintly smiled. They felt like they could hear the alarm for the start of the game echoing from somewhere.
それじゃあ始めようか。
Alright then. Shall we begin?
理不尽との戦いを。
Our fight against injustice.
そして理不尽にさらされた者を救う最後の戦いを。
And our final fight to save those oppressed by injustice. I'm Fumika Rikishima.
君はソイチ君っていうの。
So you're Soichi, huh?
一緒に生き残りましょう。こんなふざけたゲームを終わらせて。
Let's survive together and put an end to the screwed up game.
みんなで生きて帰るの。
Let's all survive and go back together. Alright, so with that is the end of Rebellion's Secret Game second stage. Well, the main story anyway. This may be the end of the main story, but however, there is still PC exclusive content that we have to see. There's one additional route. It's a side story compared to all the other routes up until now. So it's not like the other routes in that sense. We'll see what it is when we get to it next time. It won't be that long either. Longer than this route, but shorter than most of the other routes. And then after that we have a PC exclusive Omake as well. A bonus. Kind of like Secret Game Killer Queens. So see it there. But yep, this is the end of the main story. As we can see, it all led up to the start of Secret Game Killer Queen. So everything's all been wrapped up from now. But yeah, thank you all for watching. That's it for now. And I will see you again in the next video. Also, as I might mention my Twitter, starting next week I'll be beginning a live translation stream of EVE New Generation. So if you're interested, go check that out as well. I'll be keeping updates on that on my Twitter. But with that said, I'll see you all later.